tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Struggle is real. The struggle continues. Brother Eddie Baker and I are grateful to be able to come to you once again on the Thursday evening to talk in the midst of all that we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Death and devastation to communities where violence failed. We're grateful to focus on what needs to happen as far as our young people, and that is to put our hands on them and to remain vigilant in spite of the terror that we see. Our hope is to kind of nip in the bud the trend we're seeing, teenagers taking weapons and going into places as if they're in arcade games or arcade, actually.
And I like the word you use, arcade, but it seems like they think they're in a video or something. It's often that you can see an 18-year-old child walk in a place and walk out with a high powerful gun like that.
Yeah.
And then the government, some parts of the government act like it's nothing to it, like you're taking some kind of rights for it. I believe a person should own a gun, but nothing like that.
Put it back on. Yeah, it's and they tend to have this sense that it's like a game. So some kind of way in their mind they have detached their own humanity from the. You see, I'm on this Zoom call. I'll call in a second, baby. They're on this. You can try it. Thank you. I have co-producers here trying to.
Trying to keep you in line, straighten it out for you.
They're helping with the lighting. We're at the post planning meeting, and they kind of hang with G Daddy, and we're in a room together, and they're trying to make sure that we have the proper lighting. So they're going around turning all the lights on and being a part of it in the video. Here in the video, helping to create the proper setting. They can say that they were co-producers. We're expecting Reverend Buford to come on momentarily, but they're able to get on or what. So yeah, I mean, it's like Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about the look on the children's faces in pictures where their lynchings have taken place. Dr. Joy DeGruy is the one who is, comes Reverend Buford, one who has identified the idea of what's called post-traumatic slave syndrome. And also she's developed the idea of what's called cognitive dissonance. There's a disconnect between what we believe and what we do.
Yes.
But I don't even know if that's the case anymore. It seems like this generation has become, some of those in this generation have become so ingrained with the idea that murder and killing is somehow a part of what they should grow up wanting to do. And don't see the ramifications, the implications, the results, the impact. And so they just kind of go through the motion. Like you said, it's a video game. Do you know the highest selling video games are games that include mass murder, mass shooting?
Is that right?
Sure,
there's a lot of shooting and stuff going on.
Mass shooting. I mean, they'll go in. I mean, it's the setting may be a battlefield.
Yes.
Some headquarters of a perceived enemy. It may be that they're acting as if they are Navy SEALs or in some paramilitary, and they're basically just performing a operation, a special op.
listen to this. What are the laws that people can, young kids can do that they with no feeling, no outcome of it? Where is the hatred coming from?
Well, again, like I was saying, what Dr. Joy DeGruy was saying earlier, what I was saying about her was that she's analyzed this over time, and it's based on what has been passed down as beliefs. And even with the internet now, these beliefs are accessible to millions and millions of people over 24 hours. Kids are exposed to this stuff at very young ages. I watched a colleague of mine in the ministry sent me a video of this boy. He couldn't have been any more than 4 or 5. And someone asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said, I want to be a murderer. I want to be a killer. I said, I just want to kill people. I want to kill everybody except everybody in my family. And then the person doing the interview says, you want to kill me too? They said, yep, I want to kill you too. Well, they said, well, maybe not since you're being nice to me. But it was all like, it's just a matter of fact. I just want to kill people. I just want to grow up killing folk. I just want to kill people. Just they're not born with that idea. That idea is taught to them.
Yes.
But it's rooted in an idea of fear. It's rooted in the desire to divide and conquer and to distract us from the real issues of the day. You can use that chair and sit down. Sit down right here if you want to. I have a co-producer here who wants to sit down.
Yeah, I know. Checking everything you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Caleb has this is Caleb, my grandson. Caleb,
how you doing?
Caleb has the broadcast he does on his Messenger app, and he sometimes he gets with his friends, and they do a kind of production. What's the name of your production?
The Black Knights.
The Black Knights.
The Black Knights.
And so creativity and ingenuity and imagination flourishes among our sons and daughters, and those are the kind of things, positive things, instead of the negative things. Now, what did the do?
They were doing types of challenges to challenge each other. We also did these types of we did these funny introductions, and we did these funny pictures and pics. But what we're really trying to do is like make a funny blog for people like laugh out and having a bad day, just laugh.
Now, do any of them killing folk?
Yes.
Let's see. Why is that?
It isn't right for people to kill somebody, and it shouldn't really be.
We'll see. That right there come from the fact the way he's raised.
Right. That's the point. And also, Reverend Jessica, how are you? Are you with us? Are you on your video? We don't see you.
Hey, I'm here, walking around doing mommy duties.
How you doing today, Reverend?
You said, how am I doing today?
Yes.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so very much for asking. Just got home making a little bit of dinner for Layla. But yeah, other than that, doing great. The conversation is interesting. And it's like the argument of nature versus nurture and how it really does play a humongous impact in our lives, and whether we want to admit or not, it kind of shapes who we become as adults and how we view the world as adults. It could be like the smallest thing about how a child is treated or what they're exposed to at a young age, and it can stay with them because it's almost like it's a trauma, and then that triggers something, and then, you know what, this is all I know, so this is what I have to go towards. And it creates an everlasting cycle. It can also go into that conversation of generational hurt, how we're not addressing things and we're just letting things kind of slide, or we're not talking about them. And it creates a lot of pain. And how do we deal with pain is the next question.
Well, when you're raising your kids, you kind of explain things to them for not being of a hatred nature. Try to like one of my grandkids I raised, and one of them just get mad, and I kept showing the point to them. There's no reason for you to get mad. Just deal with it and keep going, because ain't nobody gonna be upset but just you.
Yeah.
What you said reminds me of that passage, Genesis 4, where Cain is dejected because Abel's offering is accepted by God. And God says, why are you acting like this? Why are you so dejected? He said, if you do what's right, your offering will be accepted as well. He said, but sin is crouching at the door, waiting to pounce. But you can control it. You can master it. And it seems to me, just like you're saying, that there's an anger, there's a kind of unnecessary, or how you say it, feeling some kind of weight when it's unfounded. I mean, if you do what you're supposed to do, then you are going to prevail. Right. But there's a sense that violence is the acceptable way. It's a way to show power. Sometimes it's a way to escape from whatever their normal, boring life they might think is, and it's their way of, I guess, making a mark. Their name will be remembered, or they'll be a part of some kind of movement or something.
But there's so much hatred in the world, and parents going to putting it into the kids instead of to the kids. A lot of kids go to school and be all right with, but the parents still instill and put something in them that for no reason hate somebody for no reason at all. I mean, a person can't hate for who he is or what color he is or nothing, but we all are the same under the eyes of the Lord. And for some reason, people don't understand that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it is interesting, as you have said, and as Brent Buford just said, it's nature and nurture. And there is a sense of nurture. I think there's a purpose behind it to perpetuate a certain idea just for the sake of having some kind of negative impact, and yet the alternative is easily just as possible to have a positive impact, like Caleb was saying. Their videos are designed to bring people encouragement and to give people even a challenge, something to aspire to. Like my G-daughter right here wants to compete for attention with her brother.
That's right.
Like this, and wanting to say something. May or may not even relate to what we're talking about, but we're going to.
But you want to feel a part.
Yes. You wanted to say something, Elisa?
Yes.
Introduce yourself. My name is?
My name is Elisa, and why people gonna hurt other people that are brown like us, and they choose to do that because they don't like brown people who are like us that are here, that are anywhere, and you have to say, are you good, I'm sorry, or you be taken away.
Oh, okay.
Now that's really sad that she knows that. And
I was just going to say the same thing. Oh, my heart. My heart. I want to cry right now because that's not something that she needs to be concerned with. Right. That's not something that should come out of her mouth when she thinks about other people and people looking at her because she's beautifully melanated.
Yeah. Bless her heart. And her mom and her family had to have, you talked about the police conversation, when you get pulled over conversation, now you just have to have the conversation of breathing while beautifully melanated.
Yes.
Yeah.
How can you?
No. Say what you were gonna say. How can you?
I mean, how can you really have that conversation and not feel a sense of sadness if you have to have it with a 4-year-old, 5-year-old child? And you're raising 2 babies now. You have to tell Luke and Layla at some point that they've got to, watch their own back, and they got to be careful of their surroundings and people around them, because there's a target on them from their peers.
Yes.
From their peers. If I'm not mistaken, Ahmaud, the young man that killed Ahmaud Arbery, the younger dude was like somewhere near Ahmaud Arbery's age. The father poisoned his son to act that way, but now you've got 2 generations on lockdown. For what? For what they believe?
And that's the thing too. It's not like you're just hurting one person or one family. I mean, overall, prayerfully, if justice happens, it's hurting 2 totally different families that may never would have collided if it had not been for this situation.
Yes. So, I like to, as much as we're kind of preaching to the choir, and it is important sometimes to deal with the isness of the situation, the brutal facts, the inerrant reality. On the converse, it is important as well to lift the other side, that this is family, and this is what family does. And the Vacation Bible School that we're hosting, and the Summer Enrichment Program that we are hosting for the first time, is a part of our answer, or the work that we do. I get the sense that the other violence is a backlash to the unity of family. But it can be a distraction if we are lulled into this sense of helplessness and frustration, and a sense of, just a sense of sorrow and sadness about it. And that's, the grief ought to happen, but at the same time, we ought to use it for some of the things that we're doing. So, these are kind of things that we're coming to grips with. Mm-hmm. We got to use the frustration to create creative spaces where there's a safe haven where our young people can be taught, healed, encouraged, and redirected into, positive outlets and opportunities.
Yes, I agree. When I was coming up a child, I stayed in church, and every summer we went to Vacation Bible School, and I have to admit, I strayed away a little bit, but I had it, and it brought me back, keep me from continue going the way I was going. But it's very important that families or either individuals, young people you see, try to give us an inspiration thing if you see them doing wrong. But it's kind of difficult because parent, you said something to somebody's child, you got to fight the child and the parent.
Yeah, for real. Yes, no.
All right, Reverend Biff, you want to talk about your Vacation Bible School?
Yes, thought you never asked. Dr. Logan kind of touched on what, ultimately we're trying to do, creating a different type of narrative in a safe space for our children, letting them know that they can be creative, they can be themselves authentically and feel safe also. So I'm going to start with the summer enrichment program because that actually begins on this coming Monday. So starting June 6th at 8 a.m., it's going to pop off. We are going to have breakfast, lunch, and we're going to end at 2 p.m. It's going to be fun-filled, educational. It's going to have a lot of different things. And we have our young people leading the charge in this. So I think that's great. Yes. And then on Fridays, we're going to have field trips, and there's still time to register. Yes, field trips. Who does not like a good field trip? There's time to still register. There's still time to register. You can contact our directors, Sister Zaria and Sister Kenia. Sister Zaria's phone number is 470-775-4729, and Sister Kenia's number is 770-743-6068. So still time to register and things like that. Just a quick thing. For it, we do still need just a few more volunteers to teach and to help out with the children. There is a requirement that we have to do since we are dealing with some other children as well. We always have to have a background check, and you can always get that done for $20, I do believe, at the Newton County Sheriff's Office. You can get that taken care of and just bring us the results so we can have that information for our files. But ultimately, it's going to be fun-filled. It's going to be educational. It's going to be, can't even put it into words. It's going to be creative. It's going to be great. And like I said, Sister Zaria and Sister Kenia, they are heading it. They're the directresses, and they are showing us what they really have. So please join us. Also, last thing for the summer enrichment program is we are trying to make sure that these young ladies come out on top at the end of the summer with a little bit of funding to go back to school with. This is their passion. This is their desire. This is what they want to do. We want to keep them encouraged by giving them just some funds to help sustain them a little while they're at school and even while they're here. So we're going to be paying them. So we still do need donations. We're taking donations. Whatever you have, please don't hesitate to donate to that cause, because it's our kids helping our children. So it's always a positive thing for the kids to see somebody that's not too far off in age leading and taking charge. Going into Vacation Bible School, that starts June 15th at 6:30 through 8 p.m. We are going to have dinner. I heard we're going to have some spaghetti, and I heard we're going to have some pizza. You feel me? Yes. So please join us at dinner time, 6 p.m. The theme is Jesus Who, as if we don't know who Jesus is, but we are getting into it. We are going into depth in regards to who is this man we call Jesus, and why is he so important to us in our lives, for us to be sustained as Christians. We have a request for some more volunteers for Vacation Bible School. The outline and the teaching material is being created by yours truly and Brother Dennis. For the kids, we have different age groups. And then for the adults, we have some volunteer teachers. You have one online, Dr. Logan. They're going to have their own curriculum in regards to Jesus Who, of course, but ultimately, we're just looking for a few more volunteers for our children. Someone who has a slight passion, not afraid to take the outline and the curriculum and make it their own. So it's fun for them as well as for the children. We are looking for a few donation cards for prizes, because we are going to be playing some games. We got basketball. We've got some science projects. We're going to shoot hoops. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to find out how much you know about Jesus. We're going to play horseshoe. We're going to have so much fun. And we do need some gift cards now for the Lock-in. A lot of our young kids needed Starbucks cards. So we are requesting maybe $5 or $10 in Starbucks cards for our rewards. And then for the younger kids, we'll have like maybe some Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or something like that. But you will be surprised at how much kids like Starbucks. There's so many drinks on the menu. But yes, ultimately, that's it. Yes. Yes.
Maybe I need to go to Starbucks then.
Listen. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's an addiction that you don't need. But so that's just kind of the synopsis of the summer enrichment program starting next Monday. Again, volunteers needed. Again, donations accepted. And then for Vacation Bible School starting June 15th, we hope and we pray that we see you there when it comes to understanding who Jesus is in depth.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead, Pastor.
I was just going to, what Reverend Jessica mentioned was the amazing team that's heading this. These are young people who grew up at St. Paul.
That's right.
Talk about that a little bit, Brother Eddie. And Reverend.
Yeah, these are young people. They grow up in St. Paul. They went off to school. I think one is still in school.
Yes.
And they come back to what they learned and picking up and passing along, which is great. Glad for them, and hopefully we can give them something big when they go back this fall.
Yeah. I think what they're doing and taking charge, meeting at coffee shops, actually dedicating themselves, dedicating their time, it shows something. It shows that, like I said, they have a passion for it and they want to create a different space for the younger kids and to be an impact. You know what I mean? They want to make a change. They see something and they want to do something about it. So it speaks volumes.
Yes, it's amazing the way we kind of stumbled into this, because initially we were trying to get the middle school students, and what we found that there was not the demand. I mean, if you're just like any business, any service, you got to meet the demand. And the demand was there for elementary school students. Ironically, it's at that level where you got to impact them, because that's when they begin to create the foundation for their belief systems. Their attitudes, their mindset is molded at an earlier age now due to a hyper access or increased immediate access, instantaneous engagement with information from around the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, stuff that our children watch now or have access to on their phones. I was in a meeting, the session with the post-planning meeting here, and one of the pastors talked about how he made a mistake because he thought he was helping his young people by putting some donated desktop computers in their meeting space. And they got on him. They gave him the riot act. They said, "You don't put that stuff in there. You took our room over. We don't." And what he didn't realize was what was a contribution years ago in terms of desktop computers is basically taking up space, because young people don't use desktops. They use phones and tablets. So we have to update our information, but we also have to listen and be in conversation with our young people, because they have access to smaller units, more mobile, far more connected. In fact, I'm just being reminded that several children who were in that mass shooting in Uvalde, so hold on a second, I got you. The mass shooting in Uvalde, where elementary school students were calling 911 from the classrooms.
That's right.
Phones. They had, these are kids in elementary school with a cell phone. I wouldn't give my child a cell phone. I'm thinking that. Yeah. But when you have a situation like this, you just to make sure that they're able to communicate with you, you know, in an immediate way to have access to their parents.
And the sad part about that, they was calling and the dust on the outside paid it no mind. I think they could save a lot of life if they went on and broke that inside that room earlier, waiting for a key. Knock the door down.
Right.
If it was a location, they would have stormed in with SWAT and everything. Because of where it was. I know.
Well, yeah, I agree with that too.
That's a whole nother conversation. We can go on for hours about that part right there.
Yeah.
Yes. Man.
That
part. But
I'm sorry.
I would like to add on to what children see in like movies and stuff. So when I was 6 years old, I saw Arrow with Robin, and in the he was a vigilante, and then he killed other people that were bad, and without it being legal for him to do that. And when I was watching throughout the show, I was like, I want to be a vigilante like him. But then as I got older, like when I was 7, I was like, and I saw these people doing the wrong thing, thinking that they didn't do the wrong, they did a good thing, killing other people. And I saw what Arrow's consequences were when he did it. But I just want to add on, like, it isn't right to see something and just think that, oh, I should do this. And then later on, you're like, it's, and some kids, like, they see it and then they see the bad things that happen, but they still ignore it. And they're like, I still want to do this and that. But I just want to add to that.
I think that's a great observation that you made. That was awesome to understand. I want to do the right thing. I want to help out. But maybe that's not the way that I should go about doing it. So maybe I should look for another way. The way that you can combat this is by getting your education and running for something, making a difference in your community, making a difference in how people see and experience you. That's where you can start. What you're saying is creating an impact with us right now. And the outlook that you're creating for us is tremendous. So just imagine when we have more people viewing this and hearing what you're saying and what your perspective is and what you're learning, where your mindset is, you're setting a precedent. People are just like, oh, that young man is doing something special. And it may not seem that big. Like may sound like I'm glorifying what you just said right now, but what you did, it's huge. Like in this moment.
It's wonderful. He gave with his explanation, you can tell he thought about what had happened and how it should be. So
exactly, and it's only human. Yeah, and it's only human to be like, oh yeah, I want to take action right now, like fast action. And it's okay to think that, but it's also important for us to take a step back and be like, okay, let's assess the whole situation. If I do go out and do that, what will happen to me? What will my papa think? So yeah.
The world would G Daddy say?
What would he say?
It works.
G Daddy. Oh, okay. Can you do you see this? When I was young, Lord help me. God help me.
Yeah, I heard that. But he is growing up.
M to the G. When I was young. So these, I again getting back to Zaria and Nia, one of the things I remember them saying when they were in the last planning meeting was that they were best friends growing up at the church.
Right.
Which to me gets back to the piece of relation, having the connection in your own interpersonal space where you are meaningfully contributing because there's a place where you feel that you belong and where you're accepted and where you're supported. I also enjoy and I'm gratified by the fact that, again, as Reverend Jessica said, the church membership feels importantly that it's important to sow into their lives, to give in such a way that their efforts are supported so that they can further their education. We talk about how our kids are growing up and moving away, but why is it they're growing up and moving away? I mean, what do you have for them to do after they graduate? And what opportunities have you created for them? What experiences have you offered to them where they feel like, oh, I can do something, I can do this and do that? Ms. Sams, for instance, who is the director of the program for Century 21, 21st Century, is one of the organizers of that particular initiative. And she is basically giving that information and that program out of what she learned, what she grew up learning and giving back to schools and communities. And this project, as it touches an entire school district, has now kind of connected into a place where younger women like her see her example and are following lockstep and are learning how to do things on an innovative level. So it's just like one thing creates another opportunity. It's just simply, it's a blessing to be able to, to see that intergenerational transference that way. You got something to say, Elisa?
+5
You got to talk up because they can't hear you.
+5 plus 5 is 10.
It sure is. It sure is.
Every day. So that's a
She's
fact.
like, I'm reminding you that that's what the answer is. I love it.
That comes of this. I'm excited about a couple of things that they're doing. They're going to make sure that it's STEM-based or STEAM-based. And so there's this element of science and technology. Caleb said he liked the slime that he had in another camp. So we're going to see if that's possible to create some slime. But also
there's a message in slime. There is a message in slime. That is a wonderful idea, big boy. I'm going to add that.
Absolutely. Please do so. And I asked the two of you, what else have you been learning in the last couple of days since we've been hanging out? What have you learned in the mornings?
We want to know how to not touch the wall and do not put shoes. And you have to take off your shoes before you go.
No, what have you learned? Like something learned? What have you learned new?
We learned English.
English and what other language?
Mandarin and Spanish. And we learned gracias.
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 How do you say hello in Mandarin?
Ni hao. Ni hao.
Absolutely.
All right.
Ni hao.
I mean, we provide an opportunity for our young people to be global in their experience, to recognize, when you recognize other languages, you also recognize other humanities,
Right.
the humanity in other people, regardless of their ethnicity and geography. Our Chinese sisters and brothers, our Spanish sisters and Spanish-speaking sisters and brothers are human beings just like us.
Right.
And when you languages, you also learn the culture and dignity of other people, and it creates a connection. Your a person of the world. I think the individuals who are taught to hate others because of what they look like or because of what they are have actually cut themselves off from the broader humanity, which is a self-isolation that is a false narrative and a false perspective on reality. It's like something that just doesn't exist, but it is the big lie that, you can actually decimate entire other populations either through warfare or disease or just outright militarism and brutality and trauma. But that's not going to happen. It's a false idea. It just creates, as Reverend Buford says, the trauma that continues to reverberate over centuries from generation to generation. So we can only do our small part. We can't solve and keep the next shooting from happening in some ways. And I don't even think it's in the hands of legislators, honestly. I think it's in the hands of family.
I agree, but I think that still do think that they should ban those powerful weapons. But I agree, the attitude of each individual is among each family.
Yes. What is within after that? The shooting in Uvalde. You see what happened in Canada with the Prime Minister?
I heard something about listening a little bit. I think I was doing something else and then catch exactly what was going on.
Banning assault weapons and rifles in ownership among citizens. And they also created a buyback program where they'll buy the gun back, give you the money to surrender the
that you purchased.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope some other countries follow along with. United States got enough money to buy back all of.
Absolutely. You give it to Ukraine, you can take a fraction of that and buy back. When you recognize that there are more weapons, pieces of gun units, than there are citizens in the United States.
That's right.
50 million to 400 million citizens.
Nothing I never gave it a thought, but the United States is the only country that has more gun killing than any other country in the world.
Over the weekend, I understand there were like 4 mass shootings.
5, I thought it was.
4 or 5 over the Memorial Day weekend.
Well, Pastor, let's pray that none of our family members get caught up in that situation, and hopefully that it eventually stops for any family to be in danger within that situation. It's really getting bad. Because you got copycats going to do what they seen somebody else do.
That part right there, which is kind of Caleb said earlier. Oh, I want to do that. Oh, yes. I want to. That's something I want to do. And then one of the things that has been mentioned in previous newscasts that I've noticed is that there's begun a idea of limiting the kind of information exposed over the media about the mass shooting. That is to say that in some cases they won't mention the person's name, they won't mention weaponry, won't mention where they got the idea and all that, because they feel like that is the reason why the shooter does what they do, to get name known, to have some 5 minutes of fame, even if they don't survive the experience.
Why you want that tagged on your name?
Because there's some of them, that's the only way they're ever going to have some kind of notoriety. That's what they feel. And they feel like they are serving a greater cause, like Reverend Buford said earlier, of eliminating some person. Maybe they feel like they're doing the right thing.
And that is exactly it. If you're sometimes you're raised in a certain environment and that's all you experience, that's all you know. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be a martyr for this cause, and it becomes indoctrinated and ingrained in you. And unfortunately, these are the results. And this isn't new. It's not something that just started happening. I mean, we can go all the way back to the biblical times, and it's been there. It's just the question of combating it with love. How do we combat so much hatred with love? How do we smother someone who doesn't like me with love? The love of Jesus Christ. How do we do that? What does that look like?
Right. And I guess part of the answer for us is we, like I said, we can't solve the entire issue, but we can do something. 13108 Groundbridge Road.
Exactly. That's where we start.
We can do it 3 or 4 weeks where young people come together and learn their self-worth and get a sense of both the academic and athletic. And then if they want to, avail themselves to the biblical and spiritual. Vacation voluntary. Can't force anybody there, but having it in the same location and making it available gives people a choice. And the kinds of issues we're talking about now will be addressed from a biblical standpoint. We those conditions and circumstances in order to provide a platform where people can think critically and make decisions. Now, here's the other thing I want to mention real quick, and then I'm gonna be quiet and let you all, and so you all can, please, by all means, is that that the U.S. is the largest producer and seller of weapons on the planet.
Yeah.
And know that the U.S. has more bases and more military sites and locations than any other nation on the planet. And so those countries where the U.S. is involved in various warfare operations and military missions create the kind of havoc we see in our schools in other countries. So kids in other countries are traumatized like our children in these shootings, in these mass shootings. You talk about in Iraq, U.S. Forces created the same kind of trauma in those settings that we're seeing on our domestic soil, on this domestic environment. So it's almost like what goes around comes around. Almost like chickens come home to roost. You put that weaponry, put that violence out, it's going to blow back in some kind of way. It kind of puts me in the mind of what happened with the crack cocaine epidemic. And infuse crack cocaine in African American communities, but you didn't realize it was also going to leak in and devastate European American communities as well. The opioid pandemic is another layer of that battle that has absolutely wreaked havoc in our European American communities. And it's hard to hear, but we want to talk about, we want to get upset when you have these there were like over 300 mass shootings last year. You're well on the way to increasing that this year. But there are mass shootings around the planet by U.S. forces and guns and weapons. Something must be real. You reap what you sow. That's the sobering reality in some perspective. We may not want to admit to it, but we actually money, as you have preached, Reverend Jessica, out of First Timothy, money, out of 1 Timothy 6, the love of money, not money, but the love of money.
The love of it. Mm-hmm.
Money that the NRA pumps into many of these candidates' coffers that prevents them from doing what they need to do from a legislative standpoint. And it's money that would force a allow a governor to make these weapons even more available. I mean, Governor asked for last year, and the same, and this person here that y'all call him is did the same thing here in Georgia. Relax the standards for the accumulation, access, and purchase of weapons.
You know, the strangest thing about that is when he was running for campaign and had that shotgun, had that young man sitting beside it. And I was just very surprised that this man got elected for governor. You know, why are we electing folks like that? And why are you putting folks like that in office?
Elect him, but there's certain people who buy into the fear that weapons are required to make you feel safe. And there are those who feel that they're safe when they have weapons. There's a fear that they've created that the media continues to exacerbate or perpetuate, and that the culture continues to, within the culture within which they actually thrive and live, where they
Pastor, and I know I'm enjoying this conversation, but we got things going on in St. Paul next week and coming up in later on this month. We need to talk about so people can participate and be a part of.
Right.
And with the summer enrichment program this next week, starting up next week.
Right.
I don't know exactly how many kids we got coming, but introduce us as part of St. Paul. Come on out and give us some type of assistance. I know it costs you $20 to get
background
check, but it's worth it when you know you're helping somebody else out and trying to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. That's our answer. That's all we can do is focus on what we can do.
Right.
And that the Vacation Bible School and the Summer Enrichment Program are two of the things we can do to make a small dent. And there are other camps around the community. One is at Veterans Elementary School, one's at West Newton, and one is at Porterdale, one is at Liberty. Is around the city, around the country.
That goes to show you there's a lot of kids need help.
And provide food too, because food insecurity is a huge element in some of the, what you might call destructive behavior from some of our kids. If you're hungry, you're going to do what you can to feed yourself.
All right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Well, that's a natural instinct. I'm hungry. If I can't get it somewhere, I'm going to try something to get it.
I'm going to take it where I can get it. Right. So it also helps to, but the other side of it too is we got to do something to help create opportunities where kids and young people can not just eat the fish, but they can fish for themselves. That's part of the idea of the STEM program as well, to encourage them to know. One of the things I know we're going to talk about is coding, software manufacturing, software development. Those are the kind of skills they can get jobs with. Those are some of the skills they can, Ravion and Google and Facebook or Meta, other tech companies are moving into the area. So, what are you doing?
Well, my understanding, these companies moving in the area, they offering free training so they can have qualified people to do the job, because evidently we don't have enough qualified people in the county and surrounding counties to fulfill all the jobs.
And they're having to bring people in from other countries and other parts of the state and around the country, around the U.S.
Right.
What are you trying to say again? Don't tell me 5 + 5 = 10, please. What else you got?
She said, I'm just reminding you.
I see. We'll be see. You'll see the window, and we're getting ready to go off in a couple minutes. And you can do all you want. And we're going back to 7 o'clock service. In light of what Brother Eddie just mentioned, to get us back on track, can you review the information, the contact information, and tell us what we can do to get more connected in with the summer camp and the summer enrichment, the vacation Bible school?
Of course. All right. So my punchline, summer enrichment program. We're starting next Monday at 8 a.m. Be there bright and early. We're going to have breakfast. It ends at 2, but before you leave, we're going to have lunch. Field trips on Fridays. Adults have fun at field trips too. It's not just for kids. So make sure if you can, and if you have time to volunteer, get that $20 and get your background check done at the Newton County Sheriff's Office. For registration and any questions, please contact Zaria. Her phone number is 470-775-4729. And Sister Tania, her phone number is 770-743-6069. Vacation Bible School starts June 15th at 6 p.m. That's dinner time, 6 p.m. Remember, we're going to have spaghetti, we're going to have pizza, and we're going to have some sort of surprise on the third day, and I'm sure it's going to be delicious. So you don't want to miss it. The actual study begins at 6:30. So if you can't make it at dinner time, be there by 6:30 for fun and games and learning. The theme is Jesus who? Jesus. Ooh. All right. And for both of these things, summer enrichment program and vacation Bible school donations are encouraged for our youngsters, for our directresses, and for some prizes for vacation Bible school. And we're also still looking for volunteers for vacation Bible study. If you don't have that $20 to get your background check, you don't necessarily need it for vacation Bible school. So we will have our eyes on you so you can encourage, engage, and teach the kids. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Brother Ed, did you want to close with anything?
No, I'm just going to tell Brother Biff that I'm going to donate some, but I'm not going to make a promise like I did the last time. But
whatever you got, we
thank
you. All right.
But I'm glad that whoever join us and we'll get a chance to watch this program. Try to be a part. Let's go and show Newton County what St. Paul is all about. So,
absolutely. Any closing remarks from our two scholars and leaders of the day and tomorrow? Caleb, anything before we go? You can say goodbye though. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for your input.
Well, we thank everybody for tuning in and visiting us today. For the struggle is real. And the struggle continues.
Oh, continues. Struggle is real. The struggle continues. Lisa, thank you for inviting us.
It's a blessing.
Thank you for inviting us.
It was our pleasure. Please give our best to Luke and Layla.
Yes.
And L Productions. God bless. Thank you.
God bless. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bless y'all.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.